Hello folks, we are back again with our normal music that we'd had for a while because today is a hobby rant and I thought with the 40k rant that it'd be good for me to maybe change up the music as we head into this one. This is the second part in what I think will be a 3-part series that started the other week with our Adeptus Custodes video on why female custodies don't really matter, and I'll recap that a little bit later on towards the end of the video. Today we are discussing, should you ever pirate Warhammer 40k or Warhammer in general? Controversial, I know. If you like what I do, the subscribe button is down below. Let's jump straight in, shall we? Because I don't want this to be a super long video. These are going to be more short form videos for me to pile through in between the big hobby nightmare days. So, a few weeks ago, we covered Warhammer's latest controversy, and this, of course, was centered on Games Workshop, because when is it ever not? In essence, female custodies were revealed not only to be a thing, which is ridiculous in and of itself, but Games Workshop then doubled down by trying to gaslight its own audience by saying that there have always been female Adeptus Custodes in the hobby. How silly of you. Despite their own lore clearly stating otherwise. I truly believe, and have seen in my own comment section and in other people's videos too, that most people would have been fine with a few female custodies in theory. It is the fact that Games Workshop insulted their intelligence and tried to treat them like idiots that is the problem. It leaves a sour taste in the mouth, and I believe this is a moment in which the mask slipped, quote unquote, and Games Workshop's sheer disdain for its own audience shone through in its response to your valid concerns, and they were valid. My advice in my video was to cut politics and Games Workshop straight out of your hobby. If you feel that strongly, Games Workshop are not the hobby. If they want to get into bed with nefarious individuals who are against free speech, then let them. You can't stop them. They're a multinational conglomerate. They're a huge corporation. You can't stop them. If they've decided to embrace identity politics and get involved in this mudslinging, you can't stop them. Okay? Attempting to do so is essentially pissing in the wind. That's what you're doing. It's only going to come back on you. Instead, my advice was to organise your own hobby groups and societies away from Games Workshop. Buy your models second-hand or from retailers with which you know Games Workshop will only receive a minor cut of your money. Gatekeep your new space that you've created rigorously to certain standards of 40k that you hold dear. Its lore, its standards of behaviour when gaming and painting, and if you do not like politics, simply nuke it from your space. This ain't the place to get on your soapbox. We are here to paint and play with toy soldiers. That was my advice in my last video. And a few of you seem to think that I was giving up, quote unquote, and allowing the enemy to win, quote unquote. But let me ask you, my friend, if Games Workshop suffers because you walk away with your wallets, how are they and the Identity Politics Brigade winning? How? If you follow my advice, you actually get on your... if you follow my advice, alright, and you actually act on your whining online instead of sitting at your keyboard and rending your garments, vote with your wallet, walk away, form your own space with blackjack and hookers, right? Then Games Workshop suffers in the one place they care about it the most, their bottom line. If you have any sane people there making decisions, they will do an about turn very quickly on the identity politics when they start seeing the numbers fall into the red. Whether you trust them enough to come back then is completely up to you. That was my advice. Take your models and leave. Go do your own thing. Lads, we can't change Games Workshop. If they've decided to go down this road, trust me, for somebody who knows. I've seen how the sausage is made, right? I've been on the other side of this. From the horse's mouth, okay? You can't change them. It doesn't matter how many of you get on your keyboards and start typing and whining and whinging and complaining. It doesn't matter. They are never, ever going to come over to your side, and all you're doing is entrenching them where they are. That's all you're doing. Because they can point at your comments and go, look how intolerant these people are. Get them out the hobby, right? That is not the way to fight this war. I agree it should be fought, and a few of you got the wrong impression that it shouldn't be fought. No, I agree it should be. I just think you're going about it in the wrong way. Because female custodies don't matter. Why? Because you're the hobby, not them. Okay? Go and make your own space. Cherish your own groups where you are, where you play 40k in the way you want to play it. And make sure you get together with your friends and you decide what standards you want to adhere to in your hobby space. Make sure you do that. You vote with your wallet and you walk away from Games Workshop. Then you are operating in a way that actually hurts Games Workshop and tells them this behaviour is not acceptable. That's what you do. Complaining online just entrenches their position. Right? Because the vocal minority online, right? They are the toxic ones. Let's be honest. They are the ones who will start calling for death threats and things like that. Okay? So no, get off your keyboard and go and sort out your hobby. It's right there. Games Workshop aren't the hobby, right? Just because you like Space Marines. No. If I like video games and Bethesda release a really bad game and start doing really bad practices, which they have done, can I not game anymore? No. I do what I want. Anyway. So that was the past. That was my last video. Just so you know for context. Here is the sequel to that video. One of two sequels. Should you ever feel justified or even obligated to pirate Games Workshop's products? Ooh. Let's get something out of the way first. The standard of the top 3D printers these days means that you can likely print models at home that are of similar quality to Games Workshop's. Now, most printers are not capable of achieving this quality, and most people who tell you otherwise are lying through the bloody teeth. You either need to have a really expensive equipment, or, I've spoken to Mark from Outer Circle quite a bit. He's very talented when it comes to 3D printing, so he's able to print really good quality models on average equipment, because he knows what he's doing, right? But it takes a lot of training and a lot of know-how to get to that stage, okay? I can see a recast normally from across a room on most occasions. And if I can, you can bet your local Games Workshop manager can do as well. The thing is, those with the top 3D printers are not keeping their models to themselves anymore. You can go online and find almost one-for-one standard Space Marines, for example, that are almost indistinguishable from the real thing to buy at a fraction of Games Workshop's price model. Contrary to popular opinion, this is not pirating. I repeat, contrary to popular opinion, that is not pirating. Pirating is taking copyrighted materials and literally making copies to sell illegally without having the right to do so. Printing things that look like Space Marines from a 3D printer to build, paint and play in your own house is not pirating. The issue comes when certain recast sellers from China and other similar countries, when they sell literal copies of Space Marines en masse at a fraction of their normal cost. This is when we are crossing into illegal territory, and even if you buy things that look similar to Space Marines, playing them on a Games Workshop is likely to get you thrown out if you're caught and banned forever. Okay? Now, let me take a quick sip of tea. Here is the controversial bit. I support Games Workshop in throwing you out and banning you if they catch you. hear me out. I can already see the meme of the Simpsons Pitchfork Brigade. I can already see it, right? Hear me out. You are within your rights to get your models from wherever you want. And if a company is not acting in your best interests, but you love the hobby, you are also within your rights to source your fun wherever you like. You have your rights. But so do Games Workshop. Entering into one of their stores and playing with unofficial models is a slap in the face to the person who works there and is a tacit admission of piracy. Alright? If you buy 3D printed models and play them at home or at somebody else's house, that is all well and good. You have rights as a private citizen, at least for now, for God's sake. So knock yourself out. That's not piracy. Attempting to take these models to a tournament or Games Workshop venue is where this now crosses the line into piracy. Why? Because you are admitting that these models are a stand-in for Games Workshop's products by attempting to use them at their official venues. In essence, you are admitting illegally pirating Games Workshop's products by making this jump in attempting to use them in spaces that only allow official Games Workshop and Citadel products to be used. One other negative of pirating is that it hurts your local friendly game store right where it stings the most: the cash register. Most of these store owners and runners actively agree with your sentiments on Games Workshop and their decisions. I work on the channel with one such person who regularly mentions how negligent and ridiculous Games Workshop are to them and other small store owners. Their decisions border on being openly hostile and callous at times to these smaller retailers. So let me reassure you that most independent store owners are right there with you when it comes to female custodies and other decisions that have harmed their customer base. I mean, alright. Case in point, case study. Let's look at Naomi from Sword and Steel, right? Another YouTuber. She owns her, well, I don't know if she owns it, but she runs her own game store, I think. She did an entire video on disagreeing with female custodies as a base thing. And this is a very brave thing to do, as it not only puts her in the public shooting gallery, but puts her at odds with Games Workshop, a company that regularly sends her free stuff to review and that has proven to be extremely petty and callous in the past with people who disagree with them. Would you deny such an honest and open shop owner of their cut of Games Workshop's money just to prove a point? This is something you need to think on for yourself. And this is what I mean. There are so many people like that out there who are pillars of the community, who ensure that we have places to build and paint and play, who make sure that the hobby is growing and is doing... They do far more for our hobby than Games Workshop ever do. But those are the people you're hurting by not buying Games Workshop's products from them. So how do we get around that? For me, I would get my Games Workshop models from second-hand sources and a few 3D printer sellers. I would. I would stick to my guns of not giving Games Workshop a penny more. I would, however, ensure I bought other games, proxy models, and paints and other essentials from small independent retailers like Naomi's to make sure that my decision to save money elsewhere when it comes to 40k does not mean that my friendly local space suffers as a result. This is my happy medium and what I would do in this situation. So, let's answer the question. After all that preamble, I've set up my stall and what I think is appropriate and what I think isn't. So, let's answer the question. Should you ever pirate Warhammer? Well, that depends on how you are doing it. Should you buy official Games Workshop products to use in tournaments and stores? No. Not only is that a stupid and negligent thing to do, it is counterproductive and kind of proves the point of Games Workshop in not wanting to deal with people like you. It is also a tacit admission of pirating copyrighted products, which is, of course, illegal. But, Should you 3D print models and buy such models to use in your own private games and events that are not sanctioned by Games Workshop? Abso-flogging-lutely. What you do with your money in your own time is all you. And you have every right to vote with your wallet. And if you want Space Marines or other Games Workshop products, to source them elsewhere for private use, if Games Workshop are no longer providing you with a service that is worthy of your money, or if you feel that actions now mean they no longer deserve your patronage. Okay? That is up to you. You have the right to do that. If you think that Games Workshop no longer deserve your patronage, they don't deserve your money anymore, and you want models to play with your friends and in your friends' local tournaments that aren't sanctioned by Games Workshop, you have every single right to go out there and source your models wherever you like, vote with your wallet and put your money where you think it'll best serve you, right? You're under no legal obligation to buy Space Marines from Games Workshop. None at all. Alright? One other way of hitting Games Workshop in the wallet, however, is sourcing your gaming time elsewhere. Try a different system. Move over to one-page rules Grimdark Future, where it really doesn't matter if you play with Games Workshop figures or not, and you're still, kind of, playing 40k, just a better version of it. There are thousands of options out there if you want to take Games Workshop out of your hobby space, and to do so legally. That is my stance. So there we are. You have my opinion on pirating Games Workshop's products. I think you'll agree it's kind of balanced. I see their rights and I see their point of view, but I want to stand up for your right as a consumer. You can put your money and your time and your energy wherever you like, and as long as you're not flagrantly throwing it in Games Workshop's face and saying, I'm going to play with pirated models at your store in your hobby space, you know, that's a dickhead thing to do. Don't do that. But if you're using it in private tournaments and events, in private games at home for your armies, or you're playing one-page rules, or you're playing any other game out there that could use Space Marine models, dude, knock yourself out. They don't deserve your money. The absolute best case scenario, if you don't want Games Workshop to have your money, is to pick up your models, pick up your rule books, and leave, and go and play one-page rules with your friends. Go and do that. That's the best thing you can do. Literally say, no, not only do I want to walk away from you, I want to walk away from your broken-ass games as well. Because you can't write rules properly. So I'm leaving. See you later. I'm going to go play one-page rules with my friends. I'm going to have a really good time. I'm going to play 2 or 3 games every single time I hang out with them. And then we're going to go for some beers and pretzels. Alright, fine. Fuck off. Thank you. Fuck you. Bye. That's the best thing to do in this scenario. A1. That's what you should be aiming for, in my opinion. Okay? Cut them out completely. But it's up to you to find where you are on the spectrum. Okay? It's up to you. But that is my opinion on what we should be doing when it comes to pirating Games Workshop stock. You shouldn't, okay? Especially if you're doing it to go and act in their tournaments and their places, you know, and their stores. But if you're going to use them for anything else, dude, over private games, dude, go for it. Go for it. It's a free world, or it should be. Do what you want. Vote with your wallet. Do what you want. This was Act 2 in a 3-part series, which started with the Female Custodies Don't Matter video the other week. The third will either be this Thursday, if I have time to write the script, beyond, you know, marking and teaching and things, or next Tuesday, and we'll be dealing with gatekeeping in Warhammer. The third part of this series. I know it should be a doozy. I love you all a long time. I will speak to you tomorrow for some more hobby nightmares. We have some fantastic ones tomorrow. I love you all. I'll speak to you then. Have a good one. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And be safe, alright? I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye now.